Hello everyone. Yes, it's true. This is the last video on the JD Off Course channel from El Salvador. After almost 3 years, which would be next month, I am saying when. I'm going to go on a new adventure. I've really enjoyed my stay here, but it's time to try something new. Now, 3 years ago, I sold the farm, my vehicle, hugged all my kids, and boarded a plane and came to a country that I did not know other than what research I'd done online. And I found some friends on Facebook on expat groups. And if you're ever traveling around the world, look for expat groups in that country that you're going to, and hopefully you will find some good people to ask questions to. Now, one of the first questions I asked was a recommendation for a good and honest immigration lawyer. And there was different replies, but one gentleman's name came up more, and his name is Marcelo. Well, Marcelo now is like one of my best friends down here. He is my lawyer. He goes and does different things with me, like immigration. Every immigration appointment I had, he was there, because I do not speak Spanish. I did not speak Spanish at all to start with. And so he would work everything out and get me through the meetings, make sure my paperwork was done, and then, move on. He also helped me on my leases, getting those done, making sure that I was protected when I leased a house like the one I'm in now. Yeah, Marcelo also helped me get a vehicle, because when I first got here, I'd looked online and found a car rental agency and rented this little sedan car. It was pretty cheap. It was like $600 a month for a car rental with insurance, and it was fine, but some of the roads down here are unforgiving, and some of the places I went were not really rated for your family sedan. Anyway, yeah, he helped me get a vehicle. We found a vehicle, or I found a vehicle, and he did all the paperwork. And there is so much legal stuff to do to buy a vehicle here, and then getting the money sent down here was a challenge. But I got a Jeep, which is now Lucy, and been very happy with Lucy. She's taken me all over Central America, basically. And so kudos to the Jeep people on this Jeep anyway. Yeah, I'd researched all the countries here in Central America, and this was my choice, El Salvador. And I found an Airbnb rental, and that's when I flew in. I bought the plane ticket, had the car lined up. They met me at the airport. I paid the guy like $20. So, hey, I'm going to follow you if you'll take me to the hotel. Because this is before I had the Waze app. El Salvador is pretty intimidating, the traffic there. So, anyway, he drove to my new Airbnb. I followed him, got settled in there in San Benito, and that is like the center of all the fun stuff in El Salvador, in San Salvador, the capital. And so, I mean, I was happy there, but I knew I was going to be moving, to explore the country further as I went along. Yeah, the immigration process took a while. You had to get so many documents from your home country apostilled, which is basically notarized for international stuff. But I did everything legally to come here, and now I'm a resident, honestly, of El Salvador. I've got my residency card. I've had it for going on 3 years. And well, almost 3 years, I guess. And so I jumped through all the hoops and paid all the fees and did everything above board so I could be here legally and not have any problem. And it was worth it. All right, now I got all the legal stuff out of the way. I've got all my cards, everything to make it where I can travel about the country freely. And so, yeah, I started traveling. And I stayed at I don't know how many Airbnbs, hostels, hotels, motels, and I made the loop. I don't know if you can see my map behind me, but I made the loop around the country, and I'd stay for like 2 weeks to a month in a city, and meet all these new people. And of course, a lot of them, Spanish is the language here. And so I would use a translator, and then there would be some English speaking people because it's growing. But I would meet new people and make friends. And that was cool. I mean, when you stay at a place for a month, you get to know the staff. You get a routine going where, you go out for walks in the morning or whatever. Or I did anyway. And, you make more friends. So, I mean, that's my goal, is to meet the people of El Salvador and show them, a positive side of a gringo like me, I guess. Anyway, yeah, I would go to these cities or towns, these little towns, and there's always something around that you can go do or go explore. And so I made lots of videos, and I think over the course of the last 3 years on my channel, it's like over 300 videos, and they're just about all of El Salvador and Central America. So, yeah, check this out.
Buenas. Buenas.
Buena.
Buenas.
All right. That is very cool. Check this out. That's what I'm talking about. I don't know if you can see that mountain back there, way in the background, but it is very, very arid here.
¿Cierto?
Hey, buenas. See if I can do this without falling here. Gracias. Yeah, I've got to honestly say this would be one of the top beaches that I've seen in El Salvador so far. There's quite a few hotels, restaurants, bars. Yeah. I think this would be Like, definitely a destination beach that you'd want to see. Festivals, like street parties, block parties, they love to have a festival in every town, I think, here in El Salvador. And they'll have the mobile DJ, they'll have vendors set up, there'll be different things going on. And I've attended, I don't know how many festivals, but they were all fun. And the people loved it. So, enjoy some festivals.
son para alabarte, mis pies son para danzarte, mi boca para cantarte, y mi corazón para amarte. Mis manos son para alabarte, mis pies son para danzarte, mi boca para cantarte, y mi corazón para amarte. Dios mío, que estás en el cielo, bendice este canto de amor, bendice a todos los que quieran vivir en tu gozo, Señor. Dios mío, que estás en el cielo, bendice este canto de amor, bendice a todos los que quieran vivir en tu gozo, Señor. Y yo te alabo, y yo te canto, ¿cómo no hacerlo si tú me has dado amor? Y yo te alabo, y yo te amo, mi Dios, tú eres todo en mi corazón. Y yo te alabo, y yo te canto, ¿cómo no hacerlo si tú me has dado amor? Y yo te alabo, y yo te amo, mi Dios, tú eres todo en mi corazón. Me alabo, me adoro, me río y a veces lloro, pero Él está conmigo todos los días, yo no estoy solo. Mis manos son para alabarte, mis pies son para danzarte, mi boca para cantarte, y mi corazón para amarte. Mis manos son para alabarte, mis pies son para danzarte, mi corazón para cantarte, y mi corazón para amarte. Desde un bello amanecer hasta que se ponga el sol.
Marcados de corazones los devuelven. Cuando empezamos se detiene el tiempo. Un balón que flotamos en un momento y repetimos el cuento. Y porque quiero contarte
Holy crap.
I love cars. I mean, since I've been a kid, I've loved cars. Trucks, anything with a motor, racing, stuff like that. I wanted to be a mechanic, but I wound up being a fireman. And of course, I enjoyed the fireman life. It was great, and I don't regret it. But I wish we had learned a little bit more about the mechanic side of it. And but I was always helping my dad. Hold the flashlight. Hold the flashlight. You're not holding the flashlight right. you know how it is growing up. You're helping dad out while he's working on the truck or working on the car. But yeah, my friends, I had some friends that loved cars, and they'd do mechanical stuff to them, and I would help. And then I just loved the looks of cars and what they represent. And what they represent to me was freedom. When I first got my first vehicle was a truck, and I was in high school, and it meant, other than having to go get a job, it meant freedom. It meant I was able to go and see my friends or go to the L&J Drive-In in Greenwood, Arkansas, and get a hamburger and some French fries and stuff like that, and hang out with other friends. So yeah, it was pretty good. And my dad, he loved cars too. I remember growing up, we had, I don't know how many different cars growing up, and he just loved it, I guess. And that got passed on to me. And so anyway, I attend a lot of the racing events down here, and I've become friends with some of the key people in the racing industry in El Salvador, and just fortunate there to be friends with them. And then I got, once in a while, I get special access to like different areas, or the tower over at the main track, where I can do some video. But yeah, they've got a huge track course down here, and people come from all over to race in El Salvador from these other countries, and they'll race their cars at the big open track. And there is some fine looking cars. This GT Challenge I went to last had some awesome looking Lamborghinis, Porsches, all that stuff. And also, they have just regular cars there, just souped up, just like back home when we had the Shade Tree Mechanics. They have the same thing here. They want to see how much bang they can get for their buck out of their little car. And so they've got the track racing, kart racing, like go-karts, and that was fun. And let's see, I don't know if I said drag racing, and let's see, yeah, car shows, all the car events. I try to make those and try to get video on those so you can see what it's like here in El Salvador with the different cars, because car shows here are different than car shows back in Arkansas and Missouri. A little bit different. But the main thing is they all are proud of their vehicles. They want to make the best of it. They want to accessorize it and make it something special. And it's quite a treat for me. So, yeah, racing and cars. Here you go.
Hello, welcome to El Salvador.
Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Hi,
Hey.
Hi.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Hey.
Thank you.
Now, this next part is something that my sister, ever since we were kids, she's loved archaeology. And she says, you've got to go and check this place out. She looked it up online, and it was Mayan ruins here in El Salvador. The Mayans were here, the Linca, I believe is how you pronounce it, were here. I mean, many, many years ago. And they had a civilization. And some of the ruins were pretty cool. And there's more in Guatemala and different places. But I got to tour the one that is a Mayan ruin, and I really enjoyed it. They do a great job on the tour, and it was very cool. So if you like history, this is for you. Okay, another one of my videos that over the last 3 years, it was in Santa Ana when I was staying there. And it's a historic building, or ruins from a building. And it is the School of Arts and Music in Santa Ana. And this is like, I think, the only place I had to get a permit to go and visit. And they had guards, had a guard around it. It's all fenced off. It's in just about in the middle of town. But this was a building built many years ago and closed in the 1970s, and that now all that's really remaining are some walls and pillars. But the history of this school is pretty amazing. Not only was there music and art taught there, but there was also trade skills, carpentry, stuff like that. And it was a big deal. It was a big deal, and it educated probably just tons of El Salvadorians in all these things. And in Santa Ana, they've got a big theater, and I got to tour it. And I mean, that's sort of a result probably of some of the music part and the art part that trickled down through the generations that kept people involved in that, in the art, in the acting, in the music, and stuff like that, basically. Now, also, when I'm driving through El Salvador, I see on the side of the road all these little huts or shops or tiendas where they are making chairs, tables, end tables, anything out of wood. And it's like a sawmill, and then they're putting things together, fine-tuning it, making it look really good. And I always wonder how much of that came from their parents, and came from that school, because they did a lot of teaching there about carpentry and so on. And that's still a very active thing down here, just alongside the road. So, yeah, this is like sort of a favorite video of mine. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you know I love going out for live music. Okay? And I have got to see and listen to some of the coolest bands in El Salvador. And I love rock and roll, and that's my favorite, basically. And sometimes, though, down here, you have to sort of step outside your comfort zone or what you normally like and try something different. So I've been to salsa, I've been to just a little bit of everything. So, music fans, here you go.
But you rescued me from reaching out the bottom, brought me back from being too far gone. You're sweet, Tennessee whiskey. You're a sweet strawberry wine. You're as warm as a glass of brandy. Oh, that stays so on your love all the time. Look for love in all single places. Follow back the bottom of the bottle, always dry. When you pull your heart.
Luna llama protección contra los deseos. Por la vereda fuera. Que vamos de paso en la vida de papel, que nos parte la tinta mucho de nuestra fuerza, que vamos de conmigo en la cartera, que no nos parte el pan en nuestra mesa, los sueños de
Siempre voy a ti te llevo, metido en mi corazón. Por eso yo te doy satisfacción. Tú lo eres, mi hermano, siempre tienes su amor. Ya tú lo ves, hermano, siempre tienes su amor.
Ya tú lo ves, mi hermano, si el fuego tiene su abajo.
Oye, mira qué rico y sabroso.
Mi hermano, si el fuego tiene su abajo.
Con los sitios, mira que hacer. Oye, con esta mujer.
Mi hermano,
Y el fuego tiene su abajo. Ahora lo dice, ahora voy a cantar.
ya tú lo ves,
Este hermano, si el fuego tiene su abajo.
to pay the rent, to pay your share. The time has come. I'm going to fight. Together, walking on the moon. We can walk forever, walking on.
Traveling around El Salvador, I've made some really good friends. Of course, Marcelo, my lawyer buddy, he's like I said, he's like my best friend, one of my best friends here. And then there's Gio. Gio is like my buddy. He worked here at the condominium I'm staying at, and now he works at a different place, but he is like a really good friend. And then, of course, Eddie, my Spanish teacher, who tried so hard to help me learn Spanish. It's just, yeah, I think I'm just getting too old for like school, and I should have studied more, honestly. But you know, if I'd stayed here, if I'd met the girl and decided to make my life here, I would have definitely had to double down and start really studying. But Eddie did a great job, and if you're wanting to learn Spanish, or you know, if you're Spanish and you want to learn English, you can do that too. Just yeah, shoot me a message in the comments, and I'll get you hooked up with him. But he's a really good instructor. And also, I made a lot of friends at work on staff at some of the local bars. Now, I'm not like Norm when I walk in, oh, here he is, he wants a Smirnoff Ice or whatever. No, well, not exactly anyway. But they knew me, and you know, they were very nice to me, and that makes it better when you go in. I mean, there's nobody I know really here other than the staff and a few of my friends. So it makes it more welcoming when I go in there and I can say hi to somebody and they say hi back. And yeah, it was fun. Yeah, you know, I'm a guy. I like girls, you know. So I started dating again. And I dated a little bit while I was here, and I hadn't dated really in years, but I thought I'd give it a shot. And when you don't habla Espanol, it is a challenge. So the dates, you know, I only dated a few girls, but the date would, you know, the translator relied on that heavily because most of them spoke Spanish. And but it was fun. There was a couple that were fun to hang out with, and they didn't get too much money out of me. There was a few that really tried. It's sad but true. And then there was a bipolar girl. I went out with her, and we went out for a while, and she was fun. It was different, but she was fun. And then finally I did meet an English-speaking girl, and this girl was just awesome. And if things had worked out, I would be living in El Salvador for the rest of my life. I would be happy. But our timelines didn't quite line up, and so it is what it is. Oh well. So, what's next for the JD Off Course channel? Well, I'm not going to say here. You're just going to have to subscribe and stick around and see what comes up next. El Salvador, thank you so much for your kindness and welcoming this gringo to your country. I've enjoyed my time here. Got to see so many things. I've learned so much about El Salvador, Central America, and I've made friends, met families, and just had a great time. Now, it might take a couple of weeks before I can get a full video up on the channel, so just, you know, bear with me, please. And I guess for the last time, it's hasta luego, and I'll see you later in another country. And if you know where I'm going, you people, there's a few people that know. If you know where I'm going, no spoilers, please. We'll just have to let everybody wonder and let them guess, and then we'll make an announcement when it's time. All right. Until then, it's JD Off Course. See you later.